Hello, this is Ros Clark. You can't see me, but I'm still here behind the camera. Ros Clark Craft, here on YouTube, Instagram, Etsy. Different sort of video. I am setting up my planner for 2026, and it just occurred to me that maybe some people will be interested in that. So I did a little poll. Everybody who responded said yes, they would be interested. I assume that's because people not interested didn't even respond to the poll. But anyway, I thought I'd do it just to show you. I do have two planners. Let me just grab this one. I'm not really going to go through this one. This is the Scribbles That Matter Productive Weeks, and this is what I use for my work planning. Let me find you. So this would be a sort of good example of this. It's got one page which has just got dot grid, and here I write lists, often, as you can see here, organized by category of things that need doing. And then on the other page, I fill in any appointments I've got, meetings and so on. And then I transfer from my to-do list what I'm going to try and do each day. I'll often have a list here of things that will be done, not this week. It's not dated, because obviously I don't work every week, and some weeks that I'm working, I'm at a conference all week, for example, so I don't really need to do this kind of planning. But I find this works pretty well for me. That's sort of, what do I need to do? And then when am I going to fit it in? So that's my work planner. So I don't do a lot of work planning in this, which is my normal everyday planner. A quick sort of glossary of terms, if you're someone who's not in this sort of planning kind of world. Journal. So a journal will be something where you keep a track of what you've been doing. You might have a reflective kind of journal where you're writing down what happened that day. Gratitude journal, you're writing down things you're thankful for. Habit trackers, maybe you're doing memory keeping and you're including photographs and all that sort of thing. Journaling. Diary keeping, really about keeping track of events, appointments, those sort of things. So you can do that obviously in a very little paper diary. You can do that on your Google Calendar. Maybe there are people who journal on their Google Calendar. I don't know. I don't really do that sort of digital planning or journaling, so I don't know. But yeah, so diary keeping. And then planning, it's that sort of taking what's in your diary, those appointments, events, things you've got to remember, and then working out how you're going to organize your life around that. There is a kind of planning which is called journaling. So bullet journaling is really a kind of planning rather than journaling. The terms get, used in different kind of ways. But what I want to explain is what I'm doing in here is planning rather than journaling. In terms of reflection, I definitely don't go back and fill in days that I haven't done, but I'm doing more than just keeping a diary. So let me show you what I've got. This is a cover that I made in my art class a year or so ago, and inside it I've got the yearly notebook by Paper Test Designs. I'll try and remember to put a link in the description. It's the one I used in 2025, and because I like the cover and I like the planner, I bought the same one for 2026. So let me take my 2025 one. It's just a slip cover. It is fabric. I used a thing that you can buy to paint on your fabric that makes it a little bit like sort of PVC oilcloth. So it's a little bit waterproof. I mean, I wouldn't, put it in the bath, but it's fine if it gets rained on. So that's made it a little bit sturdier as well. You could probably do the same with like Mod Podge or just PVA glue, but anyway, I bought some stuff. So that's that. So you can see this is my used one, definitely looking a bit more used than my new one. Let's just take the old one out and just show you a little bit of what you're in here. I put some stickers in. I don't always do loads of stickers. Yeah, this gives you an idea of the kind of planner that I am. I set up this goals page with some categories, hardly filled it in. For me, what I find is how much my planner gets used is a really good indication of where my mental health is. If I'm in a bad place, this will be almost empty. If I'm in a good place, it's used a lot. It does help my mental health, so I try and keep it as easy as I can so that if I can do it, it will be sort of virtuous circle actions. I didn't do any actions last year, it turns out. And then various trackers that I never use. I've got plans for these for this year, so I'll show you. And then a monthly page. This one I've put stickers on, lots of them I haven't, with some appointments in there. And this is a page that I will use very much like a diary. So things I've got to do, birthdays I've got to remember, places I've got to be. And then there's a page there. I was going to do budgeting. Didn't do budgeting last year. And then the weekly spread down here. So again, I'll transfer appointments and things from the monthly page here. I put some priorities, some notes of things to do. And then you get several pages. A health tracker there. But you get 1, 2... I was doing counselling at this point, that's why I had mood tracker. 3 full double page spreads for each week, and then we're back there. One of the things I really like about this planner is the amount of space there is. So sometimes I'll use those pages for making notes in meetings, for planning various things. You also get quite a lot of pages at the end, and I've used quite a lot of those on this one for working out how I want to use my planner next year. So that's last year. Here's 2026. So let me show you. I've not filled that in. I may or may not fill that in. I might try and find a nice sticker, to be honest, because I know who it belongs to. Now, what I have set up in these first few pages, last year I used these for goals and actions. Yeah, that didn't work. I want to work out a good morning routine and a good evening routine. And I thought actually this would be a good place to do that right at the beginning of the journal. So obviously you can see I've not yet filled these in because I need to have a little think about it. But for example, I want to get into the habit of going to bed with a clean kitchen. So things either washed up or in the dishwasher, surfaces wiped down, things put away. Partly that's because I now have a dog who can get on the kitchen counter. But partly I think it will just help me have a better morning if I have that putting away. But also I want to get better at going to bed going to sleep certainly at an earlier time, getting up at a better time, and so on. So I want to have a think about what will make a good morning, what will make a good evening. There's an extras page there, so if I want to include different kinds of routines, like I might have a weekend routine, or I might want to change up my routines. I've got a place that I can work that out as well. This page, this is what I allocated this page for last year and just didn't use it, but it is a useful thing. So I'm going to try it again. Travel and annual leave. I'm going to track both of those here. I have to keep a record of annual leave separately for work. But the reason for doing it here is just so that I can try and make sure it's reasonably well spread out throughout the year. I have a tendency to not use any and then get completely burnt out. And I would like to try and think in each quarter, have I got a week off and a couple of days, that sort of thing. And travel, sometimes it's for work, sometimes not for work. But I find that whatever the reason is for being away, the more I'm away, the more impact that has on general life. If I'm away at lots of weekends, for example, I don't then do housework. I don't have a, housework day is Saturday. And if I'm away on Saturday, I find it really hard to fit in elsewhere. If I get behind on laundry, if I'm away too many weekends. I don't think there's going to be loads of travel this year, to be honest, because my mum's at a stage of life where she can't have my dog for more than a day or two. So unless I take him with me, which I take him quite a lot of places, I won't be going away a huge amount. So I want to try and keep a track of that. And again, it's more about making sure it's balanced and that there's not too much travel. This is a whole year's calendar, so 12 months, days 1 to 31. Obviously, there are not always days 1 to 31. And you can see I've started filling it in. This year, I want to make sure, 2026, I go into the office more. So I have an office that my work rent for me, an office space in town. I can work at home, that's okay. And obviously some days I'll be travelling. But I've got into a bad habit of not working in the office very much. And actually, I'm just more efficient there and I concentrate better. So I'm blocking out the days in this grey where I'm not working, or for example, here I'll be at General Synod all week, so I won't be in the office. And I want to try and see, I'd like to aim for 3/4 of these other days to have some green in to say I went into the office. We'll see how it goes. But I think it'd be interesting to keep a record of that. This is what I'm calling my future log. So this is 6 months and then the next 6 months over here as well. And this is where I will put events and appointments before the current month. So again, I find it's quite helpful to have this in a page where I can sort of see, so that I'm not just looking saying, am I free on that day to go to a meeting or put something in, but actually, is that whole week really chock-a-block? Would it be better if I left it till the following week or even the following month? Or do I want to just say, do you know what, I physically could be there, but I'm still going to say no. So this will be both work things and non-work things, appointments, meetings, events of various kinds. It will include travel, but obviously not just limited to travel. So I've got quite a lot of that I already need to fill. And I like that it's got this extra space at the top of each month where I can put in, do you know, I haven't got a specific day that I've got to do this, but I know that at some point this month I need to fit in a doctor's appointment, or make sure I go and see this person or whatever. So I can just sort of keep a track, but also, stuff that will be in the diary will go here. And that's where I will try and keep everything and try and therefore not double book myself. I did double book myself a little bit in 2025, so I'm trying to not do that. 2026. Spending log. I'm going to put in here, I didn't do this last year. I didn't try to do a spending log. I did try to budget, but I failed. So I've got a month each day and then an extra page here. And so what I'd like to do is try and keep a track of what I spend on each day of the month. And then over here, divide that by category. So bills, I don't particularly need to include in my spending log because they all go out automatically from my bank account. Giving largely goes out automatically from my bank account, but obviously there might be extra things to add to that. And then I think the categories I'm going to divide are needs, so food, petrol, toiletries, cleaning things, stuff that I need. Doesn't literally have to be food, but it's in that sort of category. And then other, and I'm going to see if I maybe divide up other craft things, clothes, going out, things for the home. So by that I might mean like a candle rather than toilet cleaner. Toilet cleaner would be a need, a candle would be other. So I just want to keep a track of what I'm spending my money on, and is that really how I want to prioritize it? We'll see. But I think also just keeping a log of what I'm spending day by day helps me often spend less and be more mindful and think, do you know what, I'm going to wait till the following month. I tend to get paid on like the 23rd or 24th of the month. And my main direct debits go out on the 1st of the month. So there's a little bit of leeway there just in case there's an issue with payment or whatever. But it is a monthly financial cycle that I'm on. So we'll see. I may not try and do that every month. I'm definitely going to try and do it in January, and then I'll sort of see and maybe do it a few times during the year rather than every month. But there's space to do it every month. Goals. So I have got a goals page, and unlike last year, I actually have spent quite a bit of time thinking about my goals for 2026. So I like to have different areas of my life that I'm thinking about, and then my goals within those areas. So people, that's family and friends, and how am I spending time and where am I prioritizing relationships. Home, which a lot of the priority for 2026 needs to be the garden, which didn't really get a lot of time last year and is a complete mess. I forgot to include this one, but it is quite important. I've got 2 books that I want to write this year, both of which are sort of halfway through, and I really want to make progress and ideally finish, well, certainly one, if not both. faith. So I was bad this year, particularly the second half of this year, just not being at church all that often. I say that. I mean, you know, every other week probably, but actually I should be there every week unless I'm actually ill or away. So I want to prioritize that, prioritize a daily devotional habit, Bible studies with a friend, and then that's the friend I meet up to pray with. So I want to make sure I'm consciously prioritizing those. Financial things, I want to keep a monthly budget this year. So not necessarily the spending log, but a broader kind of budget. What am I spending? What am I saving? I've got some debt that I want to clear. I do want to build up a bit more in my savings account. And I think it would be a good idea to review my giving at this point. Creative things. If you've watched my 4th week of Advent video, you'll know I want to finish stitching A Saviour's Praise this year to be a wedding present. I've got 2 stitch-alongs I want to work on and get out. And then a couple of other things. A mending project for a friend. A knitting project. Knitting is hard for me at the moment, but I've got this jumper that it is nearly finished actually, and I'd really like to see if I can manage to finish that this year. I'd love to do some more dressmaking. I've got a quilt in progress, and then various different friends that I'd like to spend time with doing some art and maybe doing an art course. My regular art class that I've been doing for years and years and years isn't going to happen anymore because my art teacher had a quite serious heart attack a couple of months ago. She's okay, but she's not in a position where she's going to be able to start teaching again soon. We're going to try and meet up and do art together at various points. And then some health things. I can't remember if I've talked about this on YouTube before, but I've been on Mounjaro for 8 months now. I'm prescribed it on the NHS because I have type 2 diabetes. So I'm not on a super high dose. I have lost some weight. I'd like to keep on losing a bit more weight. I've been coming off some of my other medication, which is brilliant, and I'd love to come off even more. I do want to do some more exercise. More on that in a minute. And just be mindful of my mental health. So I put stay happy as well. So those are my sort of goals in different areas. And then we come on to, so that's all of my sort of setup for the year. Then each month, I've got the monthly spread, and I will transfer in any appointments, events, people's birthdays, those kind of things. So a lot of this doesn't get pre-planned. So for example, I'll book the dog groomer and I'll put it in here, but it probably won't ever end up in my future log because I don't book it very far in advance. So that is really just diary keeping for the month primarily. And then I've set up for January, and we'll see how this goes, whether I do it for the other months. I've given myself a page for the budget. I've not yet set that up properly, but it will have obviously, you know, my salary, regular spending on bills, regular giving, debt repayment, and then spending, building up from the spending log. But even if I don't do a spending log, I can work out at the end of the month how much I've spent, and just to see how I'm doing month by month with my financial goals there. Then here, I've given myself a daily tracker. I don't always do a daily habit tracker, and we're going to see how it goes. But I've put things here that relate to my overall goals. So one of the things I want to do this year is be better at going to bed at a sensible time, getting up at a sensible time. So every day I'm up by 8 a.m. I get a tick, or I might fill it in with a highlighter, bed by 11. Dog walks. This is more exercise. I've been so lazy about dog walking lately. I just let him out, and he's on the farm. He can go wherever. He does what he wants. But actually, he ought to have 2 walks a day. But even if I've got 1, so I've got 2 columns there. I can fill in 1 or 2 or none. And I'd really like to see that filled in a lot more. This is for A Saviour's Praise. I don't have to work on it every day, but I'd like to make sure I am prioritising working on it. And then I want to just use this as my stitching log, anything else that I'm working on, so that I've got a record of what I've stitched over the year. And again, I do have, that I talked about my Advent Week 4 video. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that video. Plans of what I'd like to stitch over the year. So it'd be good to make sure that those are what I actually am stitching. Well, you know, if not, it's fine. I mean, they don't have to be fixed plans. but that's there. And then the weekly pages. So this one, the first weekly page, it's laid out horizontally, Monday to Sunday. I draw the lines all the way across. So I've got the whole width for each day. And then you can see here, and I've color coded this, which I'm very proud of myself, the categories for my goals. Not every goal is there. So financial, I'm not putting here, I don't need a daily thing for financial. I've got a spending log, I've got a budget page. Haven't included writing because I forgot about it, but I would like to include writing here. And then each day, what am I doing for a faith thing? So making sure I go to church, making sure I do my Bible study with a friend. I do want to do a daily devotional every day. I'm not going to write that in every day because I should be doing it every day. It'll probably go in my morning routine. People. And this is about who am I seeing, but also am I making sure I've got enough days where I'm not seeing people? For my mental health, I need at least 1 or 2 no people days a week, ideally. Or if I had a very people-y week, then I need to make sure I'm balancing that the following week. So today, this is Monday the 29th when I'm filming, not seeing any people, and I probably won't see any tomorrow. But on New Year's Eve, I'll go and see my dad, and then I'm spending the evening with my family, then I'm going to visit friends, then on Sunday there'll be church. So church is here as a faith priority, but it's also here because it is a people-y kind of event. Things for my health, walk, I need to go to the pharmacy and collect my prescription, I need to do my weekly injection. Home things. So this week is slightly unusual because, there's a lot of bank holidays and stuff going on. I'm not really doing any houseworky things today or home projects today. Tomorrow I've got some basic housework to do, not loads. I do want to clean the floor and I want to put the rubbish out. What I really need to is check whether it's rubbish or recycling and when on earth it might be collected because of all the bank holidays. But then I'm away for 3 days, so I'm not doing anything there, and I don't do home things on Sundays because it feels like work to me and I like to have Sundays for Sabbath. And then creative things, I'm trying to finish Pear Hill by the end of the year, so that's my priority there. I've got some pyjamas that I want to turn up, and I also want to stitch a grime guard, a sort of cover to put on my floor frame that I will have a Saviour's Praise on so that it can stay out but not get dirty. That would be a good thing. I think the last time I worked on Saviour's Praise, I didn't have the dog, so it was less likely to get dirty, but it definitely needs a cover now. Then when I'm away, I'm going to take my friend's jumper that I'm mending to work on, and I might take my jumper that I want to knit as well, actually. Sunday I'll be back and I'll work on a Saviour's Praise. And then I've got 3 more spreads for the week that I've put nothing on, and that's fine. And they might end up with nothing on, or I might want to write some to-do lists. I might want to write a shopping list. I might want to do a little bit more thinking about forward planning. They might get used later in the year if I'm at a meeting where I need to take loads of notes and I'm like, I need some empty pages, go back and use those. I don't have to have anything set up for that. And that's basically how it will work for the whole year. You get a lot of pages at the back, like I say. So I'm just looking, the last weekly spread, that takes us into January 2027. And those are the pages for that week. So that's the chunk of just blank gridded pages. I think probably in an ideal world I'd have dot grid, but it's a nice light grey. The grid is fine. Lots and lots of pages. That one thing I am going to put in at the back, probably on this page, is a graph that can be my weight tracker, because I do want to keep track of that over the year. It's helpful when I go and see the nurse practitioner who prescribes the Mounjaro, and when I go and see the doctor to be able to say, well, actually, since the last time I've lost this much. But it's also motivating for me as well, just to make sure that I really am continuing on that. So that is my planner setup for 2026. What are you using? Are you a planner? Are you just a diary keeper? Are you digital? Are you analog? Do you journal? Do you like to keep memories? Do you like to reflect on your day? Love to hear what you do and how you use it and what you use in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching.